Woo, okay, this is bullshit. Good morning and welcome to part 2 of Ohio to Washington. Cruising along, just left Fargo, North Dakota. Made it to Fargo last night. Had to dodge quite a few severe thunderstorms coming across there. They were mostly getting pounded in Iowa, and that's why I didn't go more of the south route through Iowa, because they had lots of tornado, big hail, stuff like that. So I was running away from those. So I cut a little north to go around that storm, but it was moving northeast. So it kind of caught me on the edges. I didn't get into any hail, but there was a lot of lightning, thunder, rain, slowed me down a bit. So I didn't make it quite as far as I wanted to make it, but I did make it to Fargo. Went over to a gym, got a good workout in. It was a heavy back and heavy chest day. And then I was going to do some minor bicep stuff. Mostly work on my left bicep, because my right one's growing faster than the left one, so I'm trying to even it out. So at the end of all my sessions, I put in 3 sets of preacher curls for the left arm, and then I put 3 sets of hammer curls in, just trying to help get some symmetry between the 2 arms. But couldn't get to that because in the heavy, by the time I got to the heavy lat pull downs and the rows, I burned up my forearms, so I couldn't grip anything. And that happens sometimes when you're doing heavy and you got to use your hands to hold on to something, like when you're doing rows or when you're doing the lat pull down. Your forearms are really engaged when grabbing on with your hands. That's why a lot of guys will use the wrist straps to kind of take some of the stress off of their forearms. I think I'm going to have to get a set now that I'm to the point where I'm pulling enough weight to burn my forearms up. Because I had to shorten. It wasn't really a short workout. It was still about an hour long. Got a good one in. Feeling great. But I wanted to do just a little bit more, kind of for maintenance work. But I just couldn't grip with my forearms. They were just burning really bad. But like I said, that's pretty common, so I'll just have to work around that. After that, alright, sorry about that. We got interrupted by Len. You've heard about him in some of my other videos. We've seen him in the other videos. Good friend of mine. Anyway, after I got done with the workout, then I grabbed a shower and then put an extra 60 grams of protein into me post-workout, and then got ready for bed. So now, cruising across North Dakota, headed toward Montana, shooting for Bozeman tonight. Be nice to be able to get to Bozeman. Probably stop in Billings, get a leg workout in, and then continue on. But not a ton to see out here right now. I mean, look at those skies. I mean, the sky is beautiful out here. Got lots of sun, blue skies, decent roads, I guess. But other than that, just cruising along, trying to get where I'm going. Got, let's see, about 15 hours to delivery of drive time. That doesn't mean that I'm going to deliver in 15 hours. I've still got to sleep and all that stuff. But I'll check you in a little bit later when I get down to something that looks cool. Talk to you in a bit. I was reading the GPS wrong. It's 14 hours or whatever it is to Spokane. And it's like 20 hours to delivery. So Got a while.
A few moments later.
Oh my God. This is bullshit. Bullshit. Seriously. WTF. And look what I wake up to today in Bozeman, Montana. Yeah. Right. Wonderful. Super awesome. Can't even see out there. Just my luck. Yep, this is wonderful. In May. This is bullshit. And it's compounded by I don't have tires that I'm super confident in this weather. It's not that they're horrible tires, it's just they're not the tires that I would be running if I had to run consistently in this kind of weather, like in the winter when it's supposed to snow. The tires that are on the truck right now are the factory tires that came with it when I bought the truck, and they have a fair amount of miles on them. They're still legal and they have tread, but when I'm picking tires to go through the winter, I wouldn't pick even brand new factory tires. So, here we are. Snowstorm in May in Montana. Now I know why people don't live here. Into the mountains of western Montana, somewhat east of Missoula on 90. When I came out of Bozeman, went over the pass, the snow was bad. A lot of slush on the road. It was a little sketch. I couldn't take any video because I just really had to concentrate on the road just because of all the deep slush. The eastbound lanes were all shut down because they were in the process of plowing them. The westbound lanes were still open, but still had a fair amount of slush. The eastbound lanes, from what I could tell, were impassable. So they probably already plowed the westbound lanes, and that was just what was left over, or what was still falling. So it did get through the snow there, though. And then now, you know, we go into all of this western Montana stuff that's just beautiful. The whole eastern 2/3 probably of Montana is not pretty at all. It's just flat, looks like Nebraska. Then once you get into the western part, then it turns into this. And it's just all beautiful. You can see the snow up there on the hills. Road's dry, so that's good. A lot of different rock formations. I just love seeing this kind of terrain. Kind of a weird elevation. It's like over there on the left, there's lots of trees, but on the right, it's very sparse. We're not above the tree line yet as far as elevation goes, but it's just kind of a weird thing that it's so dense on the left over there and so sparse over here on the right. It must have to do with the angle of the sun and where the sun hits most of the year. Make those trees grow over there, and then you look up over there, and there's hardly any trees on the hill. But kind of cool. Next stop, Idaho. Go through the northern little sticky uppy part of Idaho. God, that's beautiful too. Got a few more passes to go over. Got all these passes that I have to go over. 4th of July, Lookout, Snoqualmie. Got to go through all these passes. But for the most part, it doesn't look like there's going to be any weather in any of the passes coming up. So should be good. Trying to squeeze on into Spokane. about 3.5 hours from there. Take a little break there, and then continue on to western Washington. Just crossed into Missoula County, so we're getting closer to Missoula, Montana. But eventually I get over, should be like close to delivery or at delivery tonight, and then be able to deliver first thing tomorrow morning. That's the goal, at least. We'll see how it goes. Well, I've got about 15 minutes, and then I'll be going over Lookout Pass. I'm gonna fire the video back up when we're up there. Maybe do, I don't know, a time lapse or something coming down out of there. But the weather is perfect. Not gonna have any problem. There's no chain requirements. Nothing's going on here. So that makes me happy. So just gonna putter along down through here, get up to the top of the pass, and then I'll check in when I get there. And here's the top. There is the Lookout Pass exit, and it is exit number 0. So now we travel into Idaho. There is the Welcome to Idaho sign. So you know what I got to do. It's a tradition. Here we go. Beep, beep. Got to beep every time we cross the state line. Now this downhill section, when it's snowy or icy, this can be pretty sketchy. The road's good, but it winds. Plus you have a pretty good steep downhill on it. So if you're not watching your speed, using your trailer to slow down, you can easily get out of control here. And getting out of control on the downside of a mountain is not something that you want to do. You don't want to have to take one of the runaway truck ramps. You have to be very careful going down the hills. You don't want to ride your brakes. If you ride your vehicle brakes all the way down the hill, it's going to create a lot of heat. Brakes do not like lots of heat. If your brake fluid is older and you haven't been maintaining it, it can cause a lot of problems. Brake fluid sucks up moisture. It absorbs moisture from the atmosphere. It's designed to do that. Keeps the water from pooling inside your brake lines and then rusting the brake lines out from the inside. So it absorbs it into the brake fluid itself. But if you overheat the brake fluid has a much higher boiling point than water. So the water will separate out and it'll boil and it'll turn to steam. Steam is a gas, and it doesn't compress the same as a liquid. Liquid you can't really compress. You can squeeze it, you can put pressure on it, but it stays the same size. Gas, when you try to compress it, you can smoosh it down to a smaller size. So when you press on your brake pedal, nothing happens at your tires because you're squishing the gas and not moving fluid. So you don't want to overheat your brakes. One thing that you can do is you can use a lower gear, so you can use engine braking to slow the vehicle down. You can push the button up there and turn on your engine brake if your vehicle has one. Not every vehicle has them, but if you have it, use it. And you can use the trailer brakes. You have the trailer brake controller on your dash down there, and you can use it to slow the vehicle down. Now you're using the trailer brakes a little bit and giving your vehicle brakes a chance to cool down. You just need a little bit of pressure and it'll slow the vehicle down. Then you can just let it coast It'll pick up more speed. Once you get to a speed that you're not comfortable with, hit the little trailer brake, slow it down 5 miles an hour, get everything back under control. And when you're going downhill, always pay attention to your comfort level. Don't let somebody that's behind you push you to go down the hill faster than you want to go. It's all about what you feel comfortable with and what you can control. You're not out here for them, you're out here for you, and you want to get home safe. So if somebody's riding your ass down the hill, let them go around. And now we're down to the bottom where the chain removal area is, where the semis or the commercial vehicles take the chains off their tires in the wintertime. Once you get to a chain removal area, you pretty much know the worst is over. Because they won't be having you take the chains off vehicles if there's still really bad spots. So that was the steepest part. Right there at the bottom, I missed it on the video, but right there at the bottom was a runaway truck ramp. So if a truck loses its brakes, overheats them, you got some newbie that's just riding the brakes, they can go off into that runaway truck ramp, and it's stacked with like loose, very loose pea gravel. So when you roll off into it, it slows the vehicle down and then brings it to a stop. Kind of like driving into sand. But the pea gravel doesn't compress like sand, so you just roll into it. The truck will sink into the pea gravel and then stop the truck. Over the last pass, snow column me in Washington, heading into Seattle. Be delivering in about 38 minutes. Snoqualmie Pass is not super high as far as elevation goes. It's like 3,500 feet or something like that, so not crazy high. But it's the steepness of the road and of the cliffs on the sides. A lot of times in the summertime, you'll see the hang gliders flying over the lake, because they'll go off the cliff and then they'll hang glide over the lake. That's pretty cool. Snoqualmie is also known for a fair amount of avalanches,
Take
so
exit
it gets shut
25
down
on
quite
the
a
right
bit
to Washington 18.
on heavy snow years. This year was not a heavy snow year, but in the past there's been a fair amount of avalanches with heavy snow. Got
Turn
a
left at the traffic
6%
light.
downgrade coming up, so there's a fair amount of steep areas in here, so you have to be aware of what you're doing, how you're operating your brakes. You don't want to, like I said, you don't want to get your brakes all overheated. So we're gonna head on down here around Seattle, get this thing delivered, and start burning it back home. Stopped in Spokane last night, took a little walk in the park. That was a whole lot of fun. Walked across a little bridge, a lot of water flowing, a lot of wetness going on. Found a metal sculpture that had koala bears and kangaroos and all kinds of stuff on it.
Continue on Washington 18.
Got my finger stuck in a hole. It was a lot of fun. So I'm gonna work my way through this construction zone here, and I'll check back in with you a little bit later, maybe at the dealer, maybe just after the dealer, we'll see.
Turn right.
Here we are. Seattle Airstream Adventures. So we'll get parked here. Take your paperwork in, get this all out of here.